Hey, what's up, guys? This is MTG Tournament Grinder, and I have my good friend Simon back in the booth with me.
Hi there, guys. Tonight I was playing some Junk, some Abzan.
Yes.
It was my first time taking the deck out for a whirl, and it was a lot of fun. And first up, I was playing against my good friend Tim, who was playing Blue-White Spirits.
It's an interesting matchup, but let's see. So your early thought sees two lands. I'm sorry, Floodish Ram, Path to Exile, Spellqueller. Spellqueller seems like the right pick.
Oh yeah, that card definitely annoys me the most out of all of those. I think at this point in my hand I have a Goyf and a Grimflayer, and quite a bit of hand disruption, and I think a tireless tracker as well. So I have plenty of threats. Not really super worried about the path, but I do want to just get troublesome spirits out of his hand, like Drogsoil Captain and
Captain
Spellqueller.
is quite troublesome. Got to get him out of there. And that was a good time to play this during Wildwood too. If you had a second thought seize, just to play your tap land.
Right.
And I have to say, a mold of 5 into a double thought seize is absolutely savage.
Oh yeah, brutal.
So he's got 2 untapped mana. Could be Rattle
Path in hand.
Chains. Could be several things, but it looks like the Goyf resolves. Oh,
I think I made a little bit of a mistake. I should have played Grimflayer. I think it's not as good as the Goyf would have been.
knowing he had the path or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, in retrospect, I think I might agree. Throw him under the wheels, like sacrifice him, as it were.
Yep.
And Mausoleum Wanderer, I'm convinced it's one of the better cards in the deck. Like, Spellqueller is outwardly the best card in the deck, but I think, like, low-key, it's actually Mausoleum Wanderer. So much flexibility, being able to flash in spirits and sacrifice it to counter things.
Yeah, and it interacts really well with the Lords. You have a couple Lords out, and now Mausoleum Wanderer is pretty much mana leak,
Right.
against your opponent's Cocos or Escape Shift, whatever.
A 1-mana mana leak that is a 1/1 flyer.
Yeah.
Or rather, a 3/3 flyer, or whatever
Right,
it is.
Okay, seems good. Alright.
Yikes, Spellqueller. Well, Lingering Souls is a really good card in this matchup.
He's top decking very well, by the way.
Yeah, on a mold of 5, he's doing really well.
Combat 3.
And the
Spellqueller, Drogsoil Captain, Spellqueller. Whew. That's where you want to be. That's really good.
if you can just draw like that all day, every day,
Yeah.
you'll be doing good. So a turn 3 Aether Vial is less than ideal, but if you're in top deck mode and you've got nothing else going on, it's good to get one down.
So let's see.
Yep, a removal spell for the Queller.
Yep.
Search.
Get your tokens back, and they just block the entire Spirits deck so well.
Yeah, feel pretty safe behind those spirits.
Until he gets a Lord, of course, and then the Spirits seem pretty lacking.
Yeah.
So here's the Grimplay you were talking about.
Sorry. Grimflayer. Grimflayer. Louis Marsh. Go ahead. Just sorcery and instant. That's right.
Yeah, only 2 card types in the graveyard for now.
Is it all graveyards?
Jeez, I'm looking at the graveyard. Double Thoughtseize. So brutal.
I have 2 of the 4 types that I need. So he's just a 2/2.
Okay. Alright.
Something I noticed about playing this particular build of the deck is it has somewhat of a hard time getting Delirium for Grimflayer. You need the easiest way is to get creature, instant, sorcery, and land, but didn't really happen as often as I'd like it to for Grimflayer to really be good.
Right, drawing into the Lingering Souls, it's like those will never make it to the yard. You know,
Yeah.
your only creatures that foreseeably will die.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting
Yeah.
string of events that led to that situation. Hopefully, usually it's easier. I hope.
Thankfully, there's plenty of sorceries to where you usually can flashback your Lingering Souls without worrying about it, but there was at least one instance where I could not flashback my Lingering Souls and keep Delirium.
I see.
If I were to flash it back, I'd lose Delirium and have to keep Lingering Souls in the yard.
Interesting.
I did 19.
You have to be really aware of your graveyard at all times.
Yeah.
Especially with Tarmogoyf as well, constantly changing in power and toughness.
Library, I can put any number into the graveyard.
It's easy to lose track of that, especially with Skoos exiling things.
Right. So, double land, Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay is certainly good. But I don't think you want both lands. Yeah, that seems right.
Yep.
You already have your white source. So you just want to have more green and black.
I think at this point, I'm looking at my hand, and I have a couple Tireless Trackers, or at least one Tireless Tracker. So I'm happy to see a land, but I definitely don't want to get flooded.
Right.
Dang, I should have brought some blue tokens. Darn.
I mean, that'll suffice as a clue token. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to have some cards on top. I don't want to look like I'll just pass.
So 17 and 10. It's quite a disparagement in life totals. Like, if he continues to top deck like a champ, this could go either way, but your board presence is pretty serious at this point. The option of sacrificing a clue, making your Tireless Tracker bigger. You're not empty-handed either. Well, neither is he. He's got 2 cards in hand. I see. So yeah, this could go either way. Spirits looks like so much fun to play.
Spirits is a great tempo deck.
Yeah, Aether Vial is just so hard to play around.
It really is. Yeah, and Rattle Chains gives everything flash, so even without Aether Vial, you're still kind of able to play at your opponent's end step.
Right.
You want to go ahead?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I missed Trigger on the Grimflayer, I think is what y'all are discussing.
Exiling.
There's so much to keep track of.
The Tireless Tracker, I believe I fetched.
That's right, that's
Is
right.
what it was, and I didn't get my clue.
Gotcha, yeah, there's
Two
still no
clues.
Delirium.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, for this one? Really?
Yeah, both of them.
Really?
I love those tokens.
Yeah, the unstable tokens. My friend Zach put them in a clear sleeve so you can see both sides. Looks so cool.
Definitely a good call. So, if I were Wizards and I was going to remake those tokens, I would make it foil on both sides.
Yeah.
Like I know they do that with the double-sided foils that already exist, but... Or even if I had to choose which side I wanted to be foil, I might choose the full art side. So he's got cards in hand and a vial on 3.
2
cards.
This is kind of where Spirits wants to be.
I'm not too scared. I have Abrupt Decay in hand.
Colorless.
Right.
Selfless Spirit?
God, Selfless Spirit though. It's like a really good insurance plan on all your creatures. The Selfless Spirit is.
Roblox.
And it's like that kind of pressure that's visual and like open information to all players, which is different from just holding like a counter spell in your hand, which is like an unknown pressure. I think having it on the board out there, facing it down, is like, it puts a certain kind of, it's a different mental game that you're playing.
Oh, missed trigger. Darn. This deck is very hard to play, by the way.
Yeah, Simon did a lot better than I did. I played this deck a couple nights before, and it was just atrocious. I did not do good at all.
12.
Okay, no blocks.
So here's where I'm thinking, damn it, if I didn't miss my triggers, I could sack like 3 clues right now.
And then that would be lethal.
Yeah.
Because already 3/3, so if you were able to sack 3 clues, oh
Right.
yeah, that would do it.
I remember thinking that.
2 clues even. Because if it's the Grimflayer as a 2/2, that would do it.
This is game 1.
Still in a good spot.
Go ahead.
Cards in hand?
3.
Okay, end of turn. Activate Aether Vial.
Sure.
Flash in Drug Skull Captain.
He drew another Drog Captain. He's
Yep.
been drawing really well.
Drawn like hot fire. I do have that Abrupt Decay. I'm going to use it here while he does not have 3 mana, just in case he draws a Spell Queller on his next draw.
Right, or if that happens to be a Spell Queller in his hand, do it now before
Oh, yeah.
before he gets to go off. Alright, well that was a pretty interesting game one.
Yep, Tim drew Hot Fire, but he couldn't make it through the hand disruption and tracker beats.
Well, we'll have to check back in game two and see what is going on.
Alright, see you in game 2. So sideboard-wise, I brought in 2 Damnations, a Maelstrom Pulse, and a Kalidas, Trader of Get. What I was really trying to do was to find something to put in for Liliana the Veil. After seeing Spirit tokens from Moorland Haunt in Game 1, as well as Mausoleum Wanderer, other kind of smallish creatures, I didn't like the idea of playing a 3-drop walker that's going to get him to sacrifice a 1-drop and then die to evasive flyers the next turn. So I was really excited to get all the Liliana the Veils out of my deck, so I needed to find 4 things to put in. That's basically how I looked at it. So Damnation is obviously excellent. Spirits has a really good way of protecting its creatures through Hexproof. Damnation doesn't really care about it, obviously, but I do have to watch out for Selfless Spirits. Otherwise, Damnation is a really great way to get through that protection, especially if Tim is going to sideboard in Kira the Great Glass Spinner, as it turns out he did. Next, I brought in Maelstrom Pulse. Spirits is very redundant, so I can probably get a 2-for-1. Imagine hitting a Spell Queller and getting 2 spells back. That would be amazing. And finally, I brought in Kalidas. This is the one I'm least excited for, but since my game plan already includes killing spirits, I'm just going to get extra value from Kalidas. And it's another good finisher that he'll have a hard time blocking and dealing with.
So, as for the Blue-White Spirits deck, I don't have access to his exact 75, as per the norm, but if his sideboard is similar to the lists online, he could have a Rest in Peace, which I think is actually a really good card here. It interacts with Goyf, it'll always be a 0-1, Scavenging Ooze will have no targets, and also Liliana of the Last Hope. Her minus ability involves returning a creature card from the graveyard to your hand. So there's actually a lot of things that Rest in Peace is quite good for. It's also a possibility that they have Unified Will, and that is counter target creature spell if you control more creatures than your opponent, something to that effect. When this card matters early in the game, I think it's likely that you'll have more creatures than them after playing all your early 1-drops, Mausoleum Wanderer, followed by your 2-drops, Supreme Phantom, what have you. And also an interesting card is Blessed Alliance. Usually I see it played against Boggles to make them sacrifice their hexproof boy. Playing Affinity, people have used it against me to make me sacrifice my Etched Champion with a big old cranial plating on it. But I think in this case it's best for its 3rd mode that you don't see very often, untap 2 creatures. So there's already a lot of instant speed trickery you can do with spirits, flashing them in and stuff. So being able to untap 2 of them at instant speed is just another sweet combat trick that'll probably get you a lot of value. Last but not least, Kira the Great Glass Spinner. I'm not sure if this is mainboard or sideboard, or either, but if it's in his sideboard, I think you should bring it in. It is a 2/2 flyer that says, creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time in a turn, counter that spell or ability. So, one of the better plays in this deck is to have double Drog Skull Captain, but just one Kira almost does the same thing. So I think it's quite good. Double Drog Skull Captain is an absolute lock. Everything is hexproof, there is nothing you can do about it. While Kira, if you choose to 2-for-1 yourself, you can get through the bubble, so to speak. So it's not quite as good as Double Drog Skull Captain, but I think for just being one creature in the same slot, the 3-drop slot, then it's a worthy addition. And that about wraps it up for the sideboard choices, so let's see how things go in Game 2. Well, alrighty, here we are, back in Game 2. Abzan turned the corner and ended up winning Game 1. So, we'll see what happens here in Game 2.
Yep.
No Aether Vial, no Mausoleum Wanderer.
Mutavault is a strange start for spirits. I'm not sure if Tim is being tricky, or maybe he just didn't have a turn 1 play. I'm not sure.
Right. Well, a turn 1 Aether Vial is
chance.
perhaps the scariest thing he could have done, so not saying that is a relief.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I saw that.
So I do know at this point I have a couple threats. Got a Lingering Souls, got a Scavenging Ooze in my hand, and I'm just going to try to be proactive. But I have also found my sideboard Damnation. So if things get bad, I always have a bit of a reset button.
Right. Well, Damnation in this kind of matchup could be just a blowout. A Remand on the Scavenging Ooze, that's a pretty strong tempo play.
Yep.
Because you didn't have an opening Thoughtseize. So waiting until turn 2 to make your play, just to have it remanded, is pretty sweet.
Yep.
And the Spirits player, his mana's looking a lot better now. In 3 mana, past turn,
Oh yeah.
he could have Rattle Chains, plus
Yep.
Mausoleum Wanderer,
Spell Queller.
Spell Queller.
He's
There's a-
representing a lot of things. He could also play Rattle Chains into a Mausoleum Wanderer because Rattle Chains gives things flash.
Right.
So he's representing quite a lot.
Spell Queller.
See, then I get to do this.
Yeah, whenever it's exactly 3 mana that they're holding up, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
Spell Queller.
Sure.
They could probably use that to their advantage. I feel like most players probably think that way.
Oh yeah.
And even if they don't have a Spell Queller.
Yep. That's
They-
the whole holding up to blue mana control player lifestyle.
That's right. I don't play much control, so it's kind of foreign to me, but boy, it seems tricky.
So still have that Damnation in my hand. As it turns out, this board is becoming very enticing to Damnation with a Kira and a Spell Queller. I could play around another Spell Queller or Negate or whatever blue counters Tim might be running
Right.
while he's tapped out here with only a Cavern of Souls. Or I could get a little greedy and wait one more turn before I Damnation and see if I can get some more value.
Yeah, I mean, Damnation. It's at the point where that's your only option, practically, with Kira.
Yeah,
and,
here, yeah. I might have some spot removal in my hand. It's probably not enough.
right. So to do it now or to wait is the question, and it looks
Yeah.
like he chose to wait.
Yep.
Blue,
Especially given that Tim is going to play a Drogskull Captain here,
Drug Skull Captain.
giving Kira Hexproof,
Go to Night 2.
Oh my goodness.
which is really terrible. So imagine if I was trying to remove them with spot removal. I'd have to.
This is pretty much the lock.
Well, I mean, I can target Drogskull Captain, it gets countered. Target Drogskull Captain, it's removed, right? And then I could
Continue to
target
2-for-1
Kira,
yourself.
yeah, and then do another 2-for-1.
Oh
So,
no.
That's not happening.
And it looks like waiting paid off in the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, Damnation.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I didn't think that you.
That's a really great sideboard card for this matchup.
Cast this for free.
Yep.
Yeah. People bring in board wipes against me all the time because I'm usually on Affinity.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is it going to be a Supreme Verdict?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a Damnation, Wrath of God? And they just are, it's so hard to come back from.
Yeah. As it turned out, unfortunately for Tim, remanding the Scavenging Ooze, followed by spell quelling the Lingering Souls, made for a Damnation that kept me from killing my Scavenging Ooze and let me play the Lingering Souls after the Damnation.
So what seems
just-
like two
Yeah.
steps back actually were good things.
Yeah, as it turns out, unfortunately for Tim.
Right. I mean, that's magic sometimes.
Yep.
Usually it's my opponent who has all the good cards, but sometimes it's myself.
Response.
Sure.
Gosh, Liliana the Last Hope, is that the one that's +2 -1?
That's right. Yep, that's the +1. -3, I think it's mill 2 or 3, and then you return a creature from your grave to your hand.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh yikes, Spellqueller again with the hot top decks.
Yeah.
I think Spirits honestly just top decks really well. It's one of those decks
Oh,
that
yeah.
just doesn't really have a bad top deck.
That's true, yeah. It's got Lords, Spell Queller,
Okay, I'm gonna.
Everything
Selfless
is
Spirits. Man,
everything's so versatile. At Fatal Push,
Rattle Chains too. You might have a Rattle Chains here. Boom.
that's exactly what it is. So that gives Spellqueller Hexproof
And I'm just like, ouch. Yep, that feels bad.
a 1 for none.
Okay. I'm gonna flashback Lingering Souls.
That's a good use of the mana.
Yep.
You have exactly black white or white white.
Once again, This deck's hard to play.
Yeah.
Gotta find a way to make your perfect mana base with fetch lands without killing yourself.
Dude, it's hard. When I played this deck, that was honestly, I think, what I struggled with most. I was getting frustrated with fetches and shocks.
Yeah.
Again, I relate everything to being an Affinity player, but
Yeah.
Affinity has me so spoiled. I just didn't have to worry about that.
Yep. I will say, always look to not shock if you can.
Right.
Blooming Marsh as your first land is really great. If you can find a way to, fetch in a tap land at their end step, anytime you can do that is really good.
That whole cycle of lands that Blooming Marsh is a part of, it comes into play untapped if you control 2 or fewer other lands. Amazing. Just straight up dual land, essentially. In a format like Modern, it is so good.
Yeah. You're not playing Death Shadow,
Right.
There's no Death Shadows in the deck.
Yeah, I think
That might be spicy, though.
I think that's where I went wrong, is I was fetching and shocking as though I was playing Death Shadow.
Yeah.
Like, fetch, shock, Dotsies, and then I'm like, oh, I'm playing against Burn.
It's easy to do that.
Take 2. So I'm at 4. These are dead. Okay. And that's dead.
So, yeah, he was presenting lethal there. He absolutely had to block. So this is all post-damnation. My goodness, look at this board state.
He's come back, for sure. Mutavault's great in that deck as well.
So what are your possible outs? More damnations? Well, that is Liliana underneath the Spell Queller.
Best spirit stacks.
Yeah.
Maelstrom Pulse?
Yep.
I see. That's a good line.
It's pretty brutal. Get the Liliana back and can hit the Mausoleum Wanderer.
It does, yeah.
He could sack it to make me pay. That I really expected him to do that.
Like, even though you can pay, make you pay so you can do less this turn.
I was actually really hoping he wouldn't. Because I'm pretty sure that I have like a mana efficient play.
I think I can see a Lingering Souls in your hand.
Yeah.
Exactly 3 mana.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, please don't pay because whatever. Because it's going to die anyways. He really should, it would probably be a good play to sack it right then.
Right.
Just for kicks.
I mean, Spirits is a hard deck to play too, alongside Abzan.
Yeah.
Our friend Zach has been playing that deck, the Blue-White Spirits Aether Vial deck, and it's tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Super powerful. Super tricky.
You can be really rewarded with your sequencing, with Rattle Chains, giving things flash, things like that.
Right.
And saving your Rattle Chains and Selfless Spirits to get value through the Hexproof and Indestructible.
Right. The double Jog Soul Captain or Jog Soul Captain Phantasmal Image is just brutal. Yeah, so I thought another Damnation was what you would need to get out of that, and it turns out just a removal spell to get Lily.
Yeah.
Followed by Lingering Souls.
Yeah, which was basically, a Damnation.
Followed by Siege Rhino. Jeez.
Yeah, getting away from 4 life, really feels like I've turned the game around. Scooz is going to keep gaining me life.
Right, there it is.
He can't beat a 4/5 trample.
So, that was a really interesting game too. The Spirits player had Abzan on the ropes. It was the really timely Damnation that I think sealed the deal. He still almost came back, actually. Top decking post-Damnation, he had a wide board again and still almost got there. But well played by both players.
I had a really great time in this match. I really enjoyed playing with Tim. Damnation is a great card, by the way.
Oh yeah, especially in these creature-based matchups.
Yeah. I think Tim played really well, and he made some great sideboard decisions, like bringing in Kira, great glass spinner. Even through a Damnation, he really made a comeback. I think that, obviously Damnation is a great sideboard card for the matchup as Abzan player. The current Modern meta is very creature-based, so I think Damnation is always going to be a good include.
Well, thank you guys very much for watching, and as usual, if you enjoy content like this, you can let me know in the comments below, or by hitting that subscribe button. So, I'll see you guys next time.